Welcome to Voyage Daily Tech, the most important news personalized for you every day, supported by Voyage.com.
Coming up on the show today, we have 5 major stories. We'll start with how Nvidia's CEO, Jensen Huang, might just be the new kingmaker in Washington, even eclipsing Apple's Tim Cook. Then, we'll dive into a historic moment where I won a gold medal in a top math competition, which immediately sparked a feud between Google and OpenAI. After that, we'll look at the former CEO of Intel leading a bold new startup to challenge the one company that holds a monopoly on the machines that make every advanced computer chip. And you won't want to miss the story of Google signing its biggest rival, OpenAI, as a major cloud customer, while OpenAI might be plotting to buy Google's own Chrome browser. And finally, we'll hit the road to see how apps like Uber Freight are causing trucking rates to collapse and what it means now that driverless trucks are already on the highway. In the high-stakes world of tech and politics, there's a new kingmaker in Washington, and it's not Tim Cook or Elon Musk. The story begins with a decision that caught everyone by surprise. Nvidia CEO Jensen Huang, whose company has become the engine of the AI revolution, now reportedly wields more political influence than the heads of Apple and Tesla. Nvidia isn't just a player, it's the entire playing field right now. Research shows the company controls roughly 80% of the AI chip market, creating a massive choke point. If you want to build cutting-edge AI, you almost certainly need Nvidia. The proof? The Trump administration just reversed its own export restrictions on Nvidia's H20 AI chips to China. Behind the scenes, the US government tries to draw a line between chips that are too powerful for export and those that are not. Nvidia actually designed this H20 chip specifically for the Chinese market, with 41% fewer cores than its top-tier models, just to comply. But even that wasn't enough until now. This was a policy Huang openly lobbied against, and it was a reversal that one analyst called a historic win for Nvidia and Jensen. The stakes were astronomical. Nvidia had taken a $4.5 billion write-down on its inventory of those very same chips. But Huang's argument was powerful. He claimed that blocking chip sales to China would only push them to develop their own technology, ultimately eroding America's tech leadership. So the thing is, Huang is pushing a bold strategy some call the American tech stack doctrine. His argument is that the best way for America to lead is to make its technology the global standard that everyone, including developers in China, builds on top of. It's a high-risk, high-reward gambit to keep the world hooked on American innovation, and it appears the White House listened. This is a stunning turn of events. Just a few years ago, Apple's Tim Cook was seen as the master political navigator, but now he's facing pushback. This signals a major shift. For years, the model was Tim Cook's, a defensive strategy, meeting with officials to protect supply chains. He was playing defense. Huang, on the other hand, is playing offense. He's not just protecting his company, he's proactively trying to shape American foreign and economic policy itself. US President Donald Trump has expressed a little problem with Tim Cook over manufacturing in India, and advisors are criticizing Apple for not moving production out of China fast enough. This, even after Apple committed to a massive $500 billion investment in the US. Meanwhile, Huang is joining the president on trips to the Middle East, securing deals to ship hundreds of thousands of Nvidia's advanced chips to the United Arab Emirates. As one expert put it, there is only one chip in the world fueling the AI revolution, and that's Nvidia's. Having a single point of failure like this creates huge systemic risks, which is exactly why governments are getting nervous. The US has responded with the Chips and Science Act, pouring over $50 billion into domestic manufacturing precisely to reduce this kind of dependency. Another expert was even more direct. Apple and Cook were seen as the most influential tips, but now it's Huang and Nvidia. Almost everything rides on Nvidia's chips. Nvidia has gone from being the chief target of chip controls to the chief influencer. But what underpins this entire empire is a serious geopolitical tightrope. Over 90% of the world's most advanced chips, including Nvidia's, are manufactured by one company, TSMC, in Taiwan. This deep reliance creates a fundamental tension for Huang, who has to balance influencing Washington while maintaining access to markets in Beijing, all while navigating the incredibly sensitive issue of Taiwan. The only question is, how long will that moment last? We were just talking about the hardware that powers the AI revolution. Well, now let's shift our focus to a massive breakthrough in what the AI can actually do. For the first time ever, an AI has just won a gold medal at the International Mathematical Olympiad, the world's most difficult math competition for high school students. But how it did it is the real story. This wasn't about crunching numbers with specialized code. Both Google and OpenAI's models solved 5 out of 6 problems by reasoning through them in plain English, a massive breakthrough. This is a huge architectural shift, moving us toward more human-like, context-aware AI. You see, for years, AI has been good at math only when problems were translated into formal code. But these new models can understand the nuances and context of human language. If an AI can reason through a complex math problem written in English, it's a major step toward it being able to tackle complex reasoning in fields that don't have a formal language, like interpreting legal documents, shaping public policy, or even diagnosing medical conditions. And here's where it gets interesting. Google worked directly with the Olympiad, getting its results officially certified, but its arch rival OpenAI jumped the gun, self-publishing its own gold medal score on Saturday before the official release. Google DeepMind's CEO, Demis Hassabis, then went on the record with a statement that was a clear jab at his competitor, saying, "We respected the IMO board's original request that all AI labs share their results only after the official results had been verified. OpenAI claims it had permission from a board member, but the move has definitely sparked a debate. This public squabble isn't just about bragging rights. Actually, it reveals 2 completely different corporate philosophies clashing in real time." The situation presents a fascinating duality. On one side, Google's approach shows a culture that values official validation and structured collaboration, while on the other, OpenAI's move signals a more aggressive, independent strategy designed to control the narrative and steal the spotlight. To put this achievement in perspective, out of 630 of the brightest human students on the planet, only about 11% scored high enough for gold. The AI just joined that elite club. But a critical question that researchers are grappling with is this. When an AI generates a proof in plain English, how can we be certain its reasoning is sound and not just a sophisticated statistical guesser hallucination? The truth is, we can't always be sure. That's why scientists are developing new verification methods, like having other AI systems try to translate the natural language proof back into formal, machine-checkable logic. This step is crucial for trusting AI with problems that haven't been solved before. So what does this mean for the future? According to a math professor at Brown University, who is also a former champion, this breakthrough suggests AI is less than a year away from being used by mathematicians to crack unsolved research problems. OpenAI admits their method was very expensive, using massive computing power to run countless lines of reasoning at once. So, what does very expensive actually mean in this context? They used a technique that some researchers call test time compute. Instead of giving one answer, the AI uses a colossal amount of processing power to explore thousands, maybe millions of different reasoning paths at the same time before picking the best one. This could create what some are calling a reasoning gap, where only a few tech giants with endless resources can afford to operate AI at this frontier level, leaving academia and smaller companies behind. The company also noted that it does not plan to release anything with this level of math capability for several months. This all begs the question, what other grand challenges are about to fall, and what is the real cost of this new frontier of intelligence? Speaking of intense competition, another high-stakes race is heating up, this time over the fundamental hardware that makes all of this possible. A top tech executive just called a multi-billion-dollar deal from over a decade ago a terrible mistake. That mistake created a global monopoly over the single most important tool for making advanced computer chips. Now, he's leading the charge to fix it. Here's the story. More than 10 years ago, a US company named Cymer perfected a critical laser technology. It was then bought by Europe's ASML for $2.5 billion. Today, ASML is the world's only supplier of the extreme ultraviolet, or EUV, machines that power the entire chip industry. To understand the stakes, you need to know what these EUV machines do. They are essentially the most sophisticated projectors in human history, using incredibly short wavelength light to print microscopic circuits onto silicon wafers. The smaller the wavelength, the tinier and more powerful the chip. The US government considers this technology so vital, it has worked to stop these machines from ever being sent to China, with one official calling it the single most important export control in the world. Now, a new Silicon Valley startup called xLight has just raised $40 million to build a new, better laser and reclaim American leadership. And its executive chairman is Pat Gelsinger, the former CEO of Intel, who is calling that original sale of Cyma a terrible mistake. Now, when Gelsinger calls it a mistake, it's a really complex issue. That acquisition allowed for the massive R&D investment to over $9 billion that was needed to make EUV a reality. The trade-off was that a critical American technology ended up under foreign control. After all, since that deal in 2012, US policies have changed dramatically. Oversight bodies like the Committee on Foreign Investment, or CFIUS, have been strengthened specifically to prevent a similar situation from ever happening again. However, if you zoom out, you'll see another layer of strategy at play. To build its prototype, xLight is partnering with the very same company that holds the monopoly, ASML. xLight's technology is aiming for a complete game changer. ASML's current machines use a complex laser-produced plasma source, but xLight is developing a laser based on technology from massive particle accelerators called a free electron laser. They are trying to shrink a national lab-sized machine into a commercial box. The potential power difference is staggering. Research suggests this new approach could deliver a laser over 10 times more powerful than what ASML uses today, which could revolutionize how fast we can make chips. And the clock is ticking. China has responded to the export ban by pouring massive resources into the field, with partners of Huawei already claiming breakthroughs on the exact same technology. This isn't just about imitation either. China is pursuing a multi-pronged strategy. State-backed companies are filing their own patents, while top universities are exploring entirely different ways to generate EUV light. And they are backing this with a $50 billion national investment fund to close the technology gap. This isn't just about a startup. It's a high-stakes race to control the future of technology. The central conflict boils down to a single, powerful quote from Gelsinger himself. We can build that here, or it can be built elsewhere. China is investing heavily in this space. There's an extraordinary backstory here that says, let's get this one right. That last story was all about the race to build and control essential hardware. Now, let's turn to a software giant, Google, which is facing an existential threat to its own long-held dominance. In the high-stakes war for AI dominance, a truly unexpected alliance has formed. While publicly battling for the future of technology, Google just signed its chief rival, OpenAI, as a major customer for its cloud business. This is a classic case of what the industry calls competition, where competitors collaborate out of necessity. Training and running massive AI models like ChatGPT requires an astronomical amount of computing power. OpenAI is already a huge customer of Microsoft's Azure, but it needs more. By signing with Google, OpenAI gets access to Google's specialized tensor processing units, or TPUs. It's a pragmatic move to diversify and ensure they have the horsepower they need, even if it means paying a direct competitor. This move comes as Google's parent company, Alphabet, is facing an unprecedented threat. Its stock is largely flat this year, making it one of the biggest laggards in the Magnificent Seven group of mega-cap stocks. The reason? A new wave of competition is aiming directly at the heart of Google's empire. AI startups like OpenAI and Perplexity aren't just building chatbots, they are launching their own web browsers to directly challenge Google Chrome's dominance. This isn't just about changing your search engine. It's about changing the entire window to the internet. These AI companies want to own the browser because it gives them direct access to a fire hose of user data, which is the lifeblood for training better AI. Even more, it allows them to embed AI agents directly into the browser that can perform tasks for you, completely bypassing Google's ecosystem. The threat is so serious that one analyst put it bluntly, as these AI companies build their user base, they'll start selling advertising. And it's only when Google starts losing advertisers that its revenue will be truly impacted. This AI arms race is happening on a massive scale, with big tech spending on the technology expected to hit a staggering $320 billion this year. To defend its turf, Google has integrated its own AI tools, like AI overviews, which are already drawing 1.5 billion users a month. What really brought this to a head was the next development. As this war with startups rages on, Google is also facing a threat from regulators. A US court is currently weighing remedies that could include a forced sale of the Chrome browser itself. And believe it or not, this isn't just a hypothetical. In August 2024, a judge ruled Google illegally maintained its search monopoly, and the Department of Justice officially proposed that Google be forced to sell off Chrome. And guess who has reportedly expressed interest in buying it? None other than OpenAI. Think about that for a second. The very company challenging Google could end up owning its flagship browser, with rivals attacking its core business, a shocking new partnership with its main competitor, and regulators closing in. The game is changing. The question is no longer just about who has the best AI, but whether Google's decades-long reign over how we use the internet is finally beginning to crack. While these tech titans battle it out in the cloud, their innovations are reshaping industries on the ground. Literally. Let's talk about the world of trucking, where the rate for some long-haul loads has absolutely collapsed, plunging from an average of $3 a mile during the pandemic down to just $1.10 today. This massive pay cut is at the heart of a tech revolution quietly taking over the highways. It's being called the Uberization of trucking, as digital platforms like Uber Freight connect drivers directly to jobs, promising more flexibility and choice. These platforms use dynamic pricing algorithms. The app is constantly analyzing market conditions the day of the week, the weather, how many other trucks are available, and it generates a real-time price for a load. For the driver, it's a black box. They see a price, but they have no idea how it was calculated, leading to fears that these systems are creating a constant race to the bottom on wages. For an industry where wages have been stagnant for nearly 25 years, this new tech is a flashpoint. One major union, Teamsters Canada, isn't buying the hype. Their take is blunt. Truckers don't need another app. We need stronger protections and bigger paychecks. Unions, like the Teamsters, are fighting back with specific strategies. They are pushing hard against the misclassification of drivers as independent contractors, supporting legislation like California's Assembly Bill 5. They're even forming alliances with rideshare driver groups to build a bigger coalition. They argue these platforms are putting responsible, often unionized carriers who invest in safety and training most at risk. The tech companies fire back, saying their platforms offer transparency and use AI to help carriers make the most of their time. One platform's CEO says his service lets drivers set their own prices, asking them what they need to be healthy and profitable. Interestingly enough, this isn't just about finding jobs. Every single time a trucker uses one of these apps, they are generating a massive amount of valuable data, their routes, their speed, their fuel efficiency, the prices they accept. This data is the fuel for the AI models. The big question is, who owns that data? The platforms use it to build smarter systems, which could eventually consolidate all the power and profits in their hands. But that's not the whole picture. The real turning point isn't just about who gets paid what, but who gets to drive it all. Because while drivers and platforms battle over wages, a new technology is hitting the road. For the first time ever, a commercial driverless truck has already operated on an American highway. Fleets of autonomous lorries are being tested right now in China. Now, get this future isn't as close as it sounds. The truth is there are huge technical hurdles that nobody talks about. An autonomous truck can handle a straight, predictable highway just fine. But navigating a chaotic city street with pedestrians and cyclists is another story. Then there's cybersecurity. The risk of a truck system being hacked is very real. And finally, there's the handoff problem. How does a truck seamlessly and safely switch from autonomous mode to a human driver who needs to take over for the last mile? These are the real-world challenges holding the technology back. One tech executive says it's no longer a question of if, but when. Quote, "The technology is there. It's just whether we trust it to be let loose on the roads." And the end game? That same executive dreams of a future, maybe 40 years from now, with a completely automated freight industry where AI controls all global cargo, making the human driver a thing of the past.
That's it for today on Voyage Daily Tech. Follow, share, and stay tuned for daily updates coming your way tomorrow.